My name is Artem, I'm 19, and all my life I thought I had a support system, my older brother Sasha. We are not just relatives, we grew up like twins. Even though we are only a year and a half apart, we have always been together, the same school, the same friends, the same interests. In our town, we were called twin brothers, although we were not. Sasha was a little more emotional, I was more reserved. But this is where we complemented each other. Our circle consisted of 5 of us, Sasha and I, Dima, my best friend since primary school, Vlad, who was funny and talkative, and Katya, the only girl in the company for whom I had long had feelings, although I had never admitted it to anyone. There was also Igor, a newcomer who joined later but quickly became one of us. It all started after I received a grant to study in Poland. I remember the night I told my friends, "Well, you're definitely a star now," Vlad said with a smile. "You're always the smartest one here." Only Sasha remained silent. His smile was taut, like a string before it broke. I didn't pay attention. I thought he was just surprised. But from that moment on, everything started to change. At first, imperceptibly. Then it started to hurt. I was asked out less often. Photos from spontaneous meetings to which I was not invited appeared more and more often in the company chat. When I wrote, they answered me dryly or ignored me altogether. Even Dima began to withdraw. Once in the spring, I accidentally returned home earlier than usual. My parents were at the dacha and only Sasha was supposed to be home. I opened the door and heard voices coming from his room. The door was barely ajar. "You know, he always put himself above us," Sasha said. His voice was flat, almost cold. He was just using us to make himself feel special. Even now with this scholarship, do you think he would have shared it if you had the opportunity? But he was always kind. Katya sounded uncertain. He never bragged. "It's a mask, Katya," Sasha interrupted her. "I'm his brother. I can see what he's really like." I felt like I had been electrocuted. I stood there in silence, unable to move. This was my brother, the man I trusted with everything. And now he was talking about me like an enemy. He was setting Katya, the only person I had sincere feelings for, against me. When I left, they did not notice me. I went outside, and the cold of the spring evening was no match for the ice that gripped my heart. That night, for the first time, I doubted whether I really knew who Sasha was, and what I should do next. After that conversation, I couldn't look at Sasha the same way as before. He still walked around with the same smile, the same look that had once inspired my trust. But now I could see a shadow in his eyes, a shadow of jealousy, betrayal, and something else I couldn't understand at the time. I tried to talk to my friends directly. The first was Vlad. We met by chance on the street. "Hi, Vlad," I smiled as usual. "Long time no see." "Hi," his voice was cool. "I'm in a hurry, let's do it some other time." "Are you really in a hurry? Or do you just not want to talk?" He stopped, looked at me, sighed. "Artem, really? After everything I heard about you from Sasha, it's hard for me to trust you. You've always seemed honest to me, but maybe I just haven't seen the real you." "And what exactly have you heard?" "That you manipulate people. That you use everyone to make yourself look good. That even your friendship with Dima is for profit." I felt the ground slipping out from under me. "That's not true, Vlad. I've never." "Maybe, but you're not the type to open up. We know you're always hiding something." He left without waiting for an answer. Dima, he was just silent. When I wrote to him, he read it but didn't reply. When I tried to call him, he didn't pick up the phone. The only one who still kept a cautious distance was Katya. I decided to talk to her in person. We met in a cafe. She came, although she was half an hour late. "Hi," she said, sitting down across from me. "Why did you want to talk to me?" "I've heard Sasha talk about me. I've heard that you believe what he says. But what I don't understand is why no one asked me about it." Katya looked down. Her voice was quiet. "Artem, we just didn't know what to think. Your brother spoke convincingly. And you were silent. You disappeared. We thought that maybe you were really avoiding us because you thought you were better." "Katya, I left because they stopped calling me. I left because I was no longer heard." She looked at me and I saw doubt in her eyes. For the first time in all this time, I saw a lively emotion, not cold detachment. Maybe we really made a mistake. But at the same moment, Sasha walked into the cafe. "Oh, family drama," he said with a fake smile. "Artem, have you decided to cry to Katya?" "That's enough," I stood up. "You've told so many lies about me." "Why?" Sasha shrugged his shoulders. "Because I'm tired of being your background. Everyone looks up to you. You're always the best. And I'm just Sasha, Artem's brother. Is that what this is about?" I clenched my fists. "You ruined my relationships with my friends because of this?" "I didn't ruin anything. I just told people the truth. And they made their own choice." I left the cafe. my heart beating like crazy. But I was already in a different mood. Not resentment, but determination. If they don't believe me, I will prove that the truth is on my side. Calmly, consistently, without revenge, but with dignity. Because true friends will eventually see who is who. I knew that the truth would not come out immediately. This is not a film or a book where the hero needs only one monologue to make everyone around him see the light. In life, everything is slower and more complicated, especially when the lie is fueled from within by a loved one. After talking to Sasha in a cafe, I decided that I couldn't keep silent any longer. I didn't want to fight with my brother, but I wanted to get myself back. Not the perfect me, not the main me, but the real me. I started with Dima. We hadn't seen each other for over a month. I called him again, and surprisingly, he picked up the phone. Hello. His voice was wary. Dima, I'm not calling to quarrel. I just want to have a meeting. No emotions, no claims. Okay, tomorrow night, in our old place. The old place was a bench in the park near the school. We used to sit there in the 9th grade sharing plans, arguing, dreaming. At the meeting, Dima was reserved but attentive. I don't know who to believe, he said. Sasha is very convincing. Have you asked yourself why he does this? He said he was tired of being second. And you really think that everything we went through was beneficial for me? Dima lowered his eyes. Then he said quietly, do you remember when you got into a fight with that senior student for me in the 10th grade? I didn't want you to be humiliated. And that was beneficial too? Dima lowered his eyes. Then he said quietly, do you remember when you got into a fight with that high school student for me in the 10th grade? I didn't want you to be humiliated. And it was also profitable? We were silent. I could see that something had changed in him. I didn't try to convince him. I was just being myself. And it worked. That same evening, he wrote me the first of his friends. I don't know what happened to Sasha, but you're not who he says you are. And I'm back on your team. Then there was Katia. She wrote to me herself. She invited me for a walk. You know, after we talked in the cafe, I couldn't sleep. Sashko's words, your eyes. She stopped. I remembered how you helped me with my project when everyone else refused. How you stayed with me in the hospital after my fall. I suddenly realized that he wasn't talking about you. He's talking about who he wants you to be. Why did you all believe him? Because he convinced not with logic, but with emotion. He seemed to be a victim, and victims are always more likely to be believed. Her words struck a chord. Perhaps Sasha did feel like a victim of his own shadow. I decided not to confront him directly. Instead, I turned to Vlad. Directly, honestly, as best I could. Vlad, give me 10 minutes. If after that you still think I'm a liar, I'll disappear from your life. We met in the courtyard where we used to play football. Talk, he said. Think about it. In all this time, have I ever asked you for anything for myself? Have I taken advantage of you? Have I shown myself arrogant? He was silent. Sasha has collected your resentments, fears, complexes, and created an image of the enemy from them. An image of me. But it's not me. It is his pain. And I am not his enemy. I am his brother. I would like to be there for him, but not at the cost of my dignity. Vlad nodded slowly. I don't know how it all happened, but I believe you again. That night I sat in my room with my phone in my hands. The messages said, Vlad, I was wrong. Katia, I'm sorry. Dima, I missed you. And Sasha was silent. But I knew that we were close to the end. I avoided this conversation for a long time. After everything that had happened, after the betrayal, the lies, the loss of trust, I just didn't want to see him. But I understood that Sasha and I were not just people who had a fight. We are brothers, and our conflict will not resolve itself. The conversation took place at night. He called me himself. Can you come to the roof? He said briefly. The same roof of a high-rise building where we used to launch paper airplanes as children, where once we even set up a night watch with a tent and a thermos of tea. There was peace there, and a symbol of our childhood. When I got up, he was already standing, leaning on the railing, looking out over the city. I'm here, I said, stopping a few steps away. You know. I thought you'd hate me, he said without turning around. I thought so myself. He slowly turned around. For the first time in a long time, there was no mask in his eyes. Only fatigue. And something like shame. I lied to everyone, to you, to myself. I didn't mean for it to happen this way, Artem. What did you mean? And what did you want? I wanted to be noticed for once. I wanted to be noticed. Without you by my side. I wanted to be someone, not just Artem's brother. And that's why you decided to make an enemy of me? He lowered his head. I've seen how much everyone respects you. How much they were drawn to you. And I felt like I was a shadow. Even when we're together, you're always in front. It hurt. And I was angry. Sasha, I came closer. I didn't take anything from you. I never competed with you. I was just being me. And you could be yourself. He clenched his fingers into fists. I was afraid that without you, no one would be with me. That I was nothing on my own. You're not nothing, Sasha. You just lost yourself trying to prove that you were not worse. But there was no need for that. I was always there for you. I always wanted you to be strong. But not at such a cost. There was a silence between us. And in that silence was more truth than any words. I've ruined everything, he whispered. My friends and you. Friends can be won back. If you're willing to admit you were wrong. Not just to me but to them. Do you think they'll forgive you? If I can do it, they can do it. But it's not up to me anymore. He nodded. And hope sparkled in his eyes. Not instant forgiveness, but a chance. Sometimes that's enough. The next day, we got together for the 6th time that summer. It was tense at first. But when Sasha stood up and said, I lied. I cheated. I was jealous. But I want to fix it, everything changed. It was painful, difficult, emotional. But we were together. And this was the beginning of healing.